What's the most I'm turning into my parents moment for you? I've always had a little sass in me, and most of my life, my shyness covered that up. Now I'm a one-woman sassacre. Thanks, Mom. My brothers have been telling me for years that I'm essentially our mom, to the point of calling me little mother, in an endearing way, not a Norman Bates way. I own it. My dad will fall asleep just about anywhere, especially if he sits in recliner. So after I got my first full-time job out of college, I got home and me and my roommate were gonna watch a new episode of some show. I fell asleep in our recliner in less than 10 minutes. I woke up after the show ended, and my roommate was like, yeah, you were out, and snored a little. When I went from, oh hey, this restaurant has live music, cool, to damn it, look at them setting up a drum kit. It's going to be too loud. I can't hear. Sometimes I will say certain words, and I'll turn around, because I thought my mom said something. It's really scary how me and her share 98% of seemingly random idiosyncrasies. We both talk to ourselves. Full on 45 conversations with ourselves. We both do this, counting this when some of the numbers turn breathy as we count. We both shake our heads and point our fingers the exact same way when we are yelling. Sometimes I'll stop mid-fight because I can see my mom making the exact same motions and it freaks me out. My 10-year-old nephew let me win a video game cause he felt bad for me, like I did to my dad 25 years ago on Super Nintendo. My so and I were packing and getting ready to road trip to some family's house for Thanksgiving. As I was cleaning up the house, my so said something along the lines of, "Don't worry about it, you can clean when we get home." I replied with, "I do not want to come home to a dirty house." At that point I realized I'm turning into my mother. My mom used to find things for us in a minute, after we had been looking for hours. My siblings and dad sometimes lose things and ask me to help because I always find it magically. I'm actually very excited about the mom touch to finding things. My dad has a way worked himself to death. Now he's retired. When he comes over now, as soon as he sits down on a couch he falls asleep within minutes. I'm noticing couches are starting to have the same effect on me. As I stared into the mass of various saved rubber bands and twist ties. When I sit down and make a backquote dad noise raga. When I would get irrationally pissed off. When I would come home at night and see my roommate left a spoon in the sink instead of just washing it real quick. I started enjoying looking at grocery ads for discounts and have 3 discount cards. Finding myself excited to go to Lowe's. As a child I hated being dragged to that store. As an adult and new homie owner I totally get the appeal of buying power tools and gardening supplies to work on various home improvement projects. I repeat stories. Every time I go home to visit, I'll hear things from my dad that he's either told me by phone already or stories I've heard 100 times. I found that I have also started telling people about stories from my past that I've already told them. Convenient that I don't make up BS, or I'd have to remember all my BS. My dad was a fairly tall guy. I used to hate walking with him when I was about 4/5 because he'd take giant steps and I had to basically jog everywhere while he dragged my hand. My son is now 4 and I caught myself doing that exact thing about 2 months ago. Now I walk slower. I've always joked that my dad isn't really my father and I'm just a clone of my mom. I look like her, laugh like her, same mannerisms, etc. Then I got the exact same health issues that she has at the exact same age they began for her. Easy, walking around turning off light switches complaining about waste of electricity. The moment I saw a high school picture of me, turns out it was my dad's high school picture. I'm identical to my father and it's annoying as can be. I went mushroom picking with my friend a couple of months ago. We ended up meeting my dad and granddad also mushroom picking. I'm Polish for clarification and mushroom picking is like a national sport here. Edit. For you guys wondering, I mostly pick Kirky chanterelles. So I'm at IHOP one day, already finished with breakfast, on my second cup of coffee, and the waiter comes with the bill. As I pull out my debit card to pay it, I put my wallet away and think to myself, just let me sit here and enjoy my coffee. Which is a phrase that my mother has used so many times at breakfast that she could patent it. I'll admit it does feel nice to just relax and enjoy it instead of rushing out the door as soon as you're done. Now it's something I do routinely. Edit. Indeed, I realize I can pay the bill and not leave immediately. It's just this one moment I vividly recall not doing so. Also, I probably should have mentioned that the town I live in is pretty small and IHOP is usually quite dead most of the time. Otherwise I wouldn't take it upon myself to make people wait for a table while I'm just there sipping coffee. Over the course of college, I went from milk and sugar in my coffee to straight black with an espresso shot. I went from ketchup on a lot of things to simply salt and pepper. The sweet tooth turned into a salty/savory tooth. When me and my first girlfriend broke up, after telling myself I wasn't going to turn into my parents, we broke up because I did all the wrong things my parents do. Ate at an expensive restaurant, and for a secretary considered how much better and cheaper it would have been if I made the meal at home. Answering stupid questions with stupid answers. That is. Family member, what should I do with this dirty nappy you just changed? The nappy bin is next to her. Semicolon. Me, put it in the fridge, we will eat it later. Edit, a nappy is a diaper. I washed out the hummus container to save in case I needed it someday. My 3-year-old told me as I turned on the TV, don't turn on the news, Dad. I 100% remember saying that to my parents. I realized I talk exactly like my father. I use the same speech patterns and I don't get to the point, which annoys me as well as anybody listening. The first time I told my kids to shut the door, we aren't heating the outside. I finally get why they said it too. It costs money to heat/cool the house. I wake up, no alarm, every day at 4 AM to get ready for work. Just sit up like clockwork at 4. Never thought I would get to this point. I say the names of things I see while in the car, like, oh, a Burger King and Menu War. Interesting. My mom does this and it used to drive me nuts when I was younger. My husband actually types google.com into the search bar, even though our default search engine is Google. It's a classic dad move. The moment I realized that I started to have a bag full of bags. When we are together, we answer people with the exact same answers. While driving in my car, I will put my arm out to protect the passenger if I suddenly stop, even though they are wearing a seatbelt, just like my mom. As the passenger in the front seat, I will step on the brake, even though there is no pedal. The old fake brake, just like my mom does. Having children, the shit that I've said has totally been shit my mom used to say. As a middle-aged male, I'm turning into my mother and it *TERRIFIES* me. Example, I swear to God, if I have to go in your room to clean it, it's all going into a garbage bag and being donated to kids that will appreciate it. I found a picture of me as a kid with my dad. His Jimmy was in the background. I looked out to my driveway and saw my '99 Chevy Blazer and realized that I was driving pretty much the exact vehicle my dad drove when I was growing up. This wasn't a conscious choice. This is the second Blazer I have owned. I heard a loud noise and instantly got pissed off. My girlfriend told me she was cold when we were at home. She was wearing shorts and a tank top. I said, well, put some clothes on. My parents used to say the same thing to me and my sister when we were kids, so they wouldn't have to turn the heat up, lol. Growing old alone, betrayed and bitter, family tradition. No specific moment, but I sound exactly like my dad when I get angry. My wife got a picture of me in shorts that didn't come to my knees, a white tee that I wore under my work shirt, doing dishes, with my headphones in, listening to a podcast. It was a wake-up call I needed.